Let's bring in Hollywood divorce attorney David Glass for more on this. David?
People going through divorces are going through some of the hardest times of their lives, and a lot of what they're going through is emotional. And in any divorce, there's a huge sense of loss, and loss of relationship, of money, some friends.
David Glass here for another episode of The Hourglass, where family law and psychology intersect. I'm a certified family law specialist, former psychologist, and the author of Moving On, Redesigning Your Emotional, Financial, and Social Life After Divorce. More than 50% of all marriages end in divorce. And if you've suffered a recent breakup or continue to suffer from one, this show is for you. My show is designed to bring insight, clarity, and comfort to those who are about to go through divorce, those who are in the middle of one, or those trying to come out the other side. We have guests each week, experts, who share ideas that help people through every phase of the divorce process. In our ongoing How to Handle the Holidays series, we're going to focus on excesses, relapses, and high emotions. Overdoing tends to go hand in hand with the holidays, whether it's eating, drinking, overspending, or over-experiencing your negative feelings. Everything is heightened, more amplified over the holidays. If we can temper overdoing, whatever it is, we're off to a very good and productive start. Obsessive, excessive, and aggressive behaviors can often ruin the holidays for you and for those around you. Sadly, we see an uptick in domestic violence during the Yuletide season and lots of anger. Before we get to our It Takes Time segment and our first guest who will talk about that, let's address the anger you might be feeling right now. Ultimately, we'll deal with what to do with those feelings. Maybe you're one of those who tend to lose it around this time of year. To see where you might rank on the out-of-control anger department answers, here's a few questions. They're easy. They're just yes or no. Number 1, do you find yourself on edge every time there is a holiday reminder around you, like signage, music, fancy wrapping paper? Do candles in that gift card rack in the grocery store make you want to scream? Number 2, do you find yourself snapping at people who ask you what you're doing for the holidays? Number 3, do you find yourself conjuring up ways to mentally escape, to keep from thinking about the holidays? Number 4, do you get lost in vengeful thoughts about how to ruin the holidays for your ex? Number 5, are you drinking, eating, shopping, over-exercising, and indulging in too much or random sex? Number 6, do you start to boil as you begin to dread the drop of that ceremonial ball at midnight on New Year's Eve? Even one yes is normal. Don't despair. Anger is big. It seems to dominate the list of negative emotions recently divorced people experience over fall holidays. The list I just ran down for you is often the go-tos for many because most going through or coming out of a breakup experience some degree of anger, either before, during, or even right after the holidays. First up, here to talk about anger management and domestic violence is Dr. Stephanie Haibloom. Dr. Haibloom is a licensed clinical psychologist and anger management certified fellow. She's a member of the California Association of Anger Management Providers and also a member of the Los Angeles County Psychological Association, where she currently serves as secretary for their board of directors. Her clients range from adolescents all the way up to seniors. Stephanie also works with many victims of domestic violence. We've asked her to be on the show today to talk mainly about anger issues and the holidays. Dr. Haibloom, welcome. Let's get right to it.
Thank you, David.
What is it that makes people so angry over the holidays, more than any other time of the year?
There are a lot of different things that can play into people becoming angry, especially over the holidays. Heightened emotion. There's a lot of also heightened expectations. Previous traumas that have not been resolved, as well as family dynamics and other drama in general with loved ones that aren't necessarily family of blood. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to pinpoint one specific thing.
Sure. So a lot comes together over the holidays for people.
Right.
What are some of your tips for people who are having trouble getting through the holidays?
As far as anger management?
Yeah.
Well, I would say if you have problems with your family counseling is always something that one can try. If that's not on the table, there's always family of choice, having your holidays with your friends, right, as opposed to with blood relatives. If it's something you must do, try to keep to situations where you feel safe. as opposed to where you may feel threatened. Because when we feel threatened, that's when anger can come in.
Yeah.
Anger is generally considered a secondary emotion. The first emotion could be feeling threatened, frustrated, anything in that vein. And then our amygdala comes into play with the fight or flight response.
Right.
And our prefrontal cortex goes right out the window
Yeah.
as far as executive decision making.
Interesting. So I know you're very involved in helping victims of domestic violence. What kinds of things should they be on the lookout for when it comes to signals that their ex might be getting into a situation where they're going to threaten them, or they're going to be violent, or they're going to be somehow emotionally abusive?
Okay, so survivors, which is what I tend to call them, of domestic violence, if they've already escaped the situation, like through divorce or just leaving in a shelter, whatever, already know what their particular ex's red flags are. Be wary of them. Keep looking for them. Don't ignore them. Trust your intuition. Trust your gut. If you feel the situation is unsafe and things might escalate, attempt to de-escalate the situation. If you cannot de-escalate it, find a way to leave and to keep yourself safe. Now, also, anger management and domestic violence get conflated a lot.
Yeah.
They're actually two very separate things, where domestic violence is really very little to do with anger and more to do with power over another person. It's more of control.
Yeah.
If you notice somebody gets another person and they're in a relationship, and suddenly they don't see their friends as often or their family. And they are very much in that grip of the person they're in the relationship with. There's no going to a job. Their finances may be cut off, which goes into domestic violence, not just being physically abused.
Yeah.
It can be sexual abuse, financial abuse, mental abuse, which is, the gaslighting,
Yeah.
and emotional abuse. So keep on the lookout for those types of behaviors
Yeah.
from the ex. If they're doing it again, get out of that situation.
Yeah, and it's most likely that someone who has been abusive to you in whatever way is probably going to come back to that behavior.
Oh, yes, absolutely. They want their control back.
Right.
They want to pull you back in, and that will restart, if you allow it, that will restart the cycle of violence. You start at the honeymoon phase, everything is great, everything is beautiful, lots of gifts and presents, lots of love, in what they're now calling love bombing.
Right.
You get a lot of love bombing. Then suddenly you're kind of, I have to walk on eggshells. If I say the wrong thing, if I wear the wrong outfit, if they don't like the color of my hair, the way it's cut, whatever, that particular friend, they're going to be upset. They're going to explode. And eventually they explode. And you get abused. And then they go back to the I'm sorries, it will never happen again. I love you. You get love bombed, and it just continues.
Right.
So it's kind of up to, sadly, the survivor, the person who's being abused, to find a way that's safe to get out of that relationship. And a lot of times, safety plans are a good thing to have. I
Right.
say all the time for something like that, actually, having a safety plan, something where you're putting money aside in an account your abuser knows nothing about.
Right.
Getting all of your important papers together. Getting clothes packed away, things that are important to you, secreted away where the abuser can't find it, and maybe at a friend or a relative's house who's not going to say anything to the abuser, a safe person. If you have a pet, finding a safe place for the pet. Because abusers, a lot of times, if you leave the pet behind, they will abuse the animal.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think now in California, in the women's shelters, they have started to allow women to bring their pets.
Yeah.
Because I remember working with Strength United before it was called Strength United. I was in my undergrad on their hotline, and a woman would not leave her abuser because he threatened to kill her dogs and she couldn't bring them at the time.
Right.
So now at least they're allowing that.
Yeah, the domestic violence code here in California a couple of years ago added custody of pets to the domestic violence code because the law finally caught up and recognized that pets is a big part of people's
And I'm
lives.
grateful that they did.
Yeah. On the anger management side, separate from the domestic violence, what can people do to mitigate their anger? If they recognize that they have an anger problem, what are some of the basics that they should be looking to do to change their own behavior?
To recognize their own triggers. So different things trigger different people. Some people, especially like, let's go into road rage. We live in L.A. It's rampant. Some people get triggered because somebody makes a signal to go in front of them, like miraculously makes a signal and wants in front of them. Other people may get triggered because somebody took their parking spot. It's recognizing your triggers and being able to say to yourself, I'm being triggered. What am I really feeling before I'm feeling the anger? I'm feeling frustration. I sat here for 10 minutes waiting for that parking spot and you sniped it from me.
Right.
And being able to take the deep breath and say, it's not worth it. I'll just drive around and find another one. And quite frankly, if you can afford it, my advice on that for the parking situation, because I do it, is if you go to a mall to go parking and go shopping, just use their valet.
Right.
The $10 to $20 that you pay a valet is definitely worth your sanity around Christmas time.
as opposed to going up and down the rows.
And then finding somebody snipes your parking spot. Yes, it's absolutely worth it. So to find ways not to be triggered, to recognize you're being triggered, and not just what is triggering you, but the physical effects. The things such as your breath, if you're starting to get really angry, not almost out of control, but not quite into a rage, because rage is way different. It's things like your heart will start racing. Your breath will become shallow and ragged. Your body temperature will rise. You'll feel warm or hot. You will feel flushed. You will feel your muscles, your entire body may tense up. You start to feel one or more of these things, that's the time to take a deep cleansing breath in through the nose, slowly out through the mouth, not gulping our air, just slipping it slowly, and saying to yourself, I'm just going to count to 10, because that will defocus you off whatever is the focus right then and there of your anger. And try to go on about whatever your business is.
Yeah.
If it's really that uncontrollable, I would suggest they go to find an anger management specialist.
Sure.
And I have resources for that at the end.
Okay.
And basically see one of us. We're not just there for people that are court ordered. I see people that are court ordered. I see people that say, I know I have a bad temper. How do I fix this?
Yeah.
It's having that self-reflection and having that insight to say, I really don't want to become the Incredible Hulk every time something happens. How do I mitigate that? Let me go find someone to help me.
Sure. So what are some of those resources in terms of anger management for people who are looking to get help for themselves?
The biggest one, because it covers all of California now, is going to thecaamp.org, thecamp.org. And that's the California Association of Anger Management Providers.
Okay.
It has a list that's available to the public, broken down, I believe, by counties. And everybody that is on that list, myself included, are also vetted by the court.
Right.
So if unfortunately your anger gets the best of you while you're shopping around Christmas and you get caught keying somebody's car and you're busted for it and you're in trouble and they're like, go to anger management, you can go to that website and you can find somebody in any county across California that can help you.
Great. And just thinking back to my dissertation, which is now 35 years ago, but I looked at the difference between court-ordered treatment for addictions versus people who went into addictions treatment themselves. And without getting into the 210 pages of nonsense that I put into this thing. The basic answer was that people who went in themselves, voluntarily went in, did better in treatment. Is there any sort of anecdotal information you have as to people who go into anger management on their own versus if they're court ordered?
Interestingly enough, I actually had somebody that was court ordered.
Right.
And they basically said to me, you know, I've been through this like 4 times already. It's all BS. None of it works. I'm just here because the court sent me. Like a lot of loud eye rolling and cursing about it. And I said, well, with mine, you will do the work. I will make you do the exercises. This is my expectation. You're not going to waste your time, but you have to do the work.
Yeah.
They did the work. They actually came back and said that people they knew and worked with had seen a difference in them and wanted to know how they did it.
Yeah.
So I would say between court ordered and wanting to make it, it really depends on the person. If you go in and you utterly don't want to, and the person you're seeing isn't going to say to you, look, you can make that change. You're capable of it.
Yeah.
You have to do the work.
Right.
But you are capable of it, and treats you like a human being that you're capable of it, not as somebody who's a criminal that got shoved through the system into this.
Yeah.
You have a better chance, I think, or at least just as good a chance as somebody who comes in off the streets and says, I have terrible anger and I want to fix it.
Great.
So it really lies, I think, more within the person and how they're treated, not just by the bigger system, the institutionalized one, but by us as part of that system. Treat them like a person, make them accountable, make them responsible, as opposed to, here's your workbook, I'll sign your paper, I don't care, I'm getting my money.
Sure.
I made them work for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How about resources for people who find themselves the victims of domestic violence?
I do actually have that one.
Good.
It is Strength. The one I know of for locally in L.A. is Strength United, and they have a 24/7 hotline for rape and domestic violence survivors. That number is 818-886-0453, and they have a second number, 661-253-0258. Nationally, because I know this goes on a website, and I was pointed out that we should have national, is 1-800-799-7233 or 1-800-799-SAFE. That's the national domestic violence hotline. They're 24/7 as far as I know. And if Strength United is anything like when I worked for them before they changed the name, they're really good.
Yeah.
Everybody is a volunteer. I was a rape crisis advocate. So one day out of the week, you would go with the rape survivors when they had to go get tested, etc.
Yeah.
The other day that I would do it, you answered the phones for like 6 hours. And you were 24/7 on that.
Yeah.
They always have somebody there. We had a book, at least at that point in time, which was 2007, so a minute ago. The book, and I still have it, was like this thick. I have no idea how much thicker it is now or how they've given it to everybody to use, but I know the people there really do care, and they also will help the domestic violence survivors with group therapy, individualized therapy, and all the resources they would ever need.
That's great.
Yeah.
You've shared with us an enormous amount of very useful information. We're going to have cards up showing these numbers that you and places that you just listed us. I can't thank you enough for coming in and talking about these two similar but not completely related topics.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here and be of help.
Yeah. Moving right along, our next guests here today are Steven Munoz and Brad Potter. They're the operators of an innovative new center here in LA where you can come in and vent and extinguish all of your bad emotions, whether it's anger or frustration or jealousy. Basically, you get to go in and throw and crash and smash things. It's called BreakRoom L.A. And let's get right into it. Guys, where did you come up with the idea to open a place called BreakRoom?
Well, Steven came up with it, tried it out on a small scale. He did escape rooms before.
Yeah.
And people would come in, and he couldn't do both at once because, escape rooms, you're solving puzzles, can't be loud.
Yeah.
But he noticed there was a lot of demand for rage rooms, breaking stuff, people letting out anger, frustration. Some people do it for entertainment, and saw that and then made a separate location just for the breaking.
Amazing.
Yeah, from the escape room world to the break room world, a big difference from the entertainment industry. And yeah, the break room definitely did have a big higher demand, so that's where we collided together and put our facility of axe throwing and rage room together.
Excellent. Yeah, in an earlier episode, we had a psychologist who suggested people go and throw axes to help get over their divorces, and now we've got you guys here. So take me through it. If I want to go vent and I want to bring a couple friends along, how does the whole process work?
So the process goes based on, due to COVID, we did change all of our procedures to online reservations. So basically all reservations are online only as of right now. And you do get a private room to yourself. People have a little confusion thinking they share the room. They definitely don't share the room.
Yeah.
And the reason we kept it like this is so if people want to vent, if they want to scream, if they want to just go out, and do things they can't really do out in public, this is the place for you to freely do that without being judged by anyone else. So you book your session online, choose which package you want to do. If you want to do a 20-minute session or a 30-minute session, and then you just show up, fill out your waivers, and we get you all suited up.
Great. And so what's it look like in the room? What kinds of things do you have to break or smash or throw or whatever?
So the room's constantly changing. Sometimes we'll have bigger stuff in there, smaller stuff, but each person will get new breakables when they go in. Sometimes you could pick out your own stuff, or if you want something that catches your eye, if you're the one to break that. Also, some people bring stuff. So they'll bring relics of their past or picture frames of someone and break them, or just random stuff, old science project or something they worked really hard on, got their good grade, and then break it out in the rage room. So all types of stuff. And then you have types of stuff in there. You could throw it with bats, crowbars, sledgehammers, so all different types of ways to break it.
All right. And asking the tough question here about safety. So I've done some reading, and there are some people who say this isn't a good type of thing to do to vent your anger or your negative emotions because violence only begets more violence. Where do you guys stand on that?
I think it depends on the person. I have heard someone say it will make it worse or it doesn't help cope with it, but I feel some people do use it with coping, or it kind of unleashes your creativity after because you're doing something you don't normally do. You could let it all out. You could vent, like you said. You could scream in the room. You could do whatever you want in it.
And what about safety? How do you cover safety in the rooms?
So we provide all of our customers with all safety gear, from face shields to disposable gloves to avoid any cross-contamination with sweat, protective wear, gloves, full-on coveralls, all these coveralls. We kind of did like a custom design where it ensures that any glass won't go into your body. Other than that, we provide all the stuff you guys need, and basically people love it. Ever since, accident-free. There's no wood. We'll knock on marble.
That's great. That's great. I'm a divorce lawyer, and divorce ends up being very seasonal. My biggest season of the year is January, right after the holidays. Either it's New Year's resolutions or people getting through the holidays. Something brings most of the divorce clients in January. How is there an up season for BreakRoom?
We would probably say during summer break. We've seen more reservations towards the earlier morning, 11 a.m., 12 p.m. But towards the holidays, it's kind of like an all year long. We did see a spike during and after COVID. A lot of people, did have a lot of anger to unleash, and it definitely did help a lot of people. And ever since, we've seen it kind of be all year long. Not a specific year, since we do have a lot of companies that come in for the parties and, all that sort of kind of stuff. But pretty much all year long.
And have you had any experience with people specifically coping with divorce? where they come in and they say, listen, I'm coming to you because I'm getting divorced. Give us a picture of what that's looked like.
Yeah, we have had divorce parties or people. This one lady's come every Valentine's Day to remember her, to get over her ex, and she always books on Valentine's Day.
That's great.
She has a breakup anniversary and copes with it every Valentine's Day. And we do a lot of parties. Some people will do it like they'll bring all their friends from the marriage too, and I'm over it, and this is it. I'm stepping forward after this. They kind of use it as a stepping stone.
We did have a group of girls that came for a bachelor party, but instead of being an excited bachelor party, the guy actually canceled the wedding the day before the wedding.
Oh.
So, they came here and they're like, pros and cons, we're still here to have a good time. So they just started breaking their stuff. And like Brad said, sometimes they do bring pictures to let out that anger that they have.
Sure.
And it
Or
definitely
keepsake or whatever they have. So I'm breaking this.
Yeah, that's great. It's something. There's something cathartic about it. I with all my divorce clients, I encourage them to do something so that they can then move on, to put this past part of their life in the rearview mirror. And so having a place to go to specifically do this really makes sense. Tell me more about the divorced people or people who broke up. What kind of items do they bring in?
Some people, not everyone brings in items. So very few people bring in, but usually it is divorce, or they have a personal attachment to it from something that happened before, traumatic possibly.
Yeah.
So they'll bring it in, and then with the other stuff too. And then I've also noticed with people like that divorced or the breakup parties, is a lot of people, when they do it for entertainment, they'll break the stuff, and sometimes they'll be in and out of the room in 5 minutes. Usually the divorce ones or the breakup part, more traumatic one, they'll use their full time in the room. So they'll pick up their stuff, hit it over and over. They're really going the whole time and screaming when they do it. Some of them won't even, a lot of people for entertainment, they'll put music. Some of the people that are just doing it off of a divorce or breakup, they won't even do music in the session, and they're just hitting the stuff the whole time or bashing it.
So you mentioned that sometimes people use music as part of their break room experience. What kind of music do they listen to?
It's kind of funny. You can never judge a book by its cover when someone's pulling out their phone to play the music. You'll hear screamo music. Some people will listen to opera music while they do it. Some people are just entertainment, top pop, rap. You get all types of music in there. So it's kind of funny. You kind of guess before what they're going to play.
Right.
But, it's like, wow, I didn't think they were going to be listening to that.
Yeah, my guess would have been heavy metal, crash music.
Screamo, and some people, you look at them and like, oh yeah, they're probably listening to that. And then it's like opera or just piano music. It's all types. One guy was listening to jazz music. All types of music. So it's just kind of whatever they want. You're in the room, you have a big speaker, you can play whatever you want. So it really depends on the person.
And do you guys ever go mobile? If you have a bigger party or a special location that someone wants to do it in?
Yeah, we definitely do mobile units. So we have our mobile crew that takes care of any type of event. And we basically do all of our activities mobile, from rage room to vehicle regs, paint room, accidentally, anything you want. Where you want it, we take it there for you.
And how much does all of this cost? I know you've got a whole menu of different things people can choose, but give me a range of what this sort of experience could cost.
So we have our packages that start at $25, depending on the activity you're looking to do. That go up to, $170. That includes a T-shirt, for the customer as well. As
and multiple activities. You do multiple activities for that.
Yeah. And then we do have our vehicle rec that goes for $1,200 and includes up to 11 admissions. So it's not just one person; it's for an entire group. And we did that limit. That way, everyone gets to get smashing out of the vehicle itself too.
Sure. And what kind of vehicles do you pull in for this?
Ooh, you'll be surprised. We do like 2000 models up to 2011 models. It's really up to the tow yard that provide us with the vehicles, what they have on site. And a lot of customers think that these are pre-beat up vehicles. Some of these vehicles run and drive too. So it just makes it easier for us for the loading in.
Sure.
But all these vehicles are fully intact, have never been smashed before. So every customer gets a brand new vehicle.
Right.
We're not like Oprah, you get a car, but if you get a car, then you get to smash it.
Yeah, it's not a pre-smashed car.
Yeah.
You get the first hit.
Yeah.
And some people feel bad as kind of in the car too. They're hesitant to see like kind of a nice looking, like the body looks intact or other stuff, but we tell them it's going to the junkyard anyway, so it's a fun step along the way.
Right.
Break the windows, dent the car, something you wouldn't normally do. So get a big release.
So people come out happy, they come out satisfied and thanking you for the experience. But before they do that, what's the most common emotion you see expressed in the break room?
We would say the one that's winning the most would be excitement, being happy. But we definitely had people where they, use the time to break the stuff and just take the moment to cry, let out things, let out their emotions in the room. Overall, I would say the excitement, emotions-wise, would be excitement. A lot of people come out excited because it's a different experience.
Sure. And so on the negative side, have you ever had someone in the break room that really concerned you, that you were really worried about their level of animosity or their level of anger, and maybe you were thinking about calling the authorities?
I mean, what we have seen is maybe people feeling very down by letting out your emotions, by, like I said, crying would be the most. But other than that, we do have these cameras for security purposes that we have in our rooms. Probably the most has been just crying. But once they come out, it's just like nothing happened. And it's just a positive side because they come out still thanking us, for the experience because they left all of that negative energy in the room. And it definitely helps them. But overall, throughout our experience, I haven't seen anyone where we are concerned, what they might do after once they exit the facility.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they use all their energy in there. It's a physical activity, and there's some people they almost do it as like a workout after. They're hot, so when they come out, it's like they released everything in there. They're tired, they're huffing and puffing, breathing when they come out. So it's kind of a nice when they come out and nice and cool off, take off your stuff. So they kind of get a little calm down period after too, and they're in the room doing all the stuff.
Yeah, the funny thing is I've talked with my divorced colleagues about what would you do as your next business if you just wanted people to come out happy. So we talk about candy stores and ice cream parlors and things like that. We have not brought up the break room. I think it's up at the top of the list.
There you go. And despite us promoting this as a entertainment use only because it is LA,
right?
As a lawyer, you should know. We actually have a lot of therapists that come out and bring their clients, and they definitely see a big positive side, like Brad was mentioning. It definitely helps them open up in a way that they didn't expect them to open up or talk about their situation much quicker than, during a one-on-one session or anything like that. So it's definitely overall great experience.
Excellent. Yeah, well, it must be great having a business that just about everyone comes out and thanks you for the experience. As a divorce lawyer, it's not always that way at the end of the divorce.
They're on the wrong side of it.
Yeah. And maybe the divorce clients are taking all of their time because they've just gotten over divorce and they were paying their attorney by the 15-minute or half an hour increments, and they want to get their full money's worth.
And then sometimes they're kind of hesitant to go, and their friend will drag them in, or one of their best friends will take them, and like they've heard of it, and they don't want to do it. They're kind of, but I'll go just because you want to pay for it. They think it might help. And then they go in and they're kind of scared on their first swing. You watch them, and then at the end of it, they're swinging really hard and having a great time. It kind of unlocks something. Before they were just kind of like, I don't think this is going to help. And then they come out, like he said, and they're kind of thankful after and they tell their friend, oh, this was a good idea, and it did help me, and liked it more than I expected. What's that going to do for me? But wow, it really opened something up for me.
Well, great. Tell me where people can find you.
So you could go to our website, BreakRoomLA.com. That's probably the easiest. You could book online there, see our activities. We do bigger events and parties too. So if you were having more people, our rooms could hold 6 people, but we could do up to 20 in the back. And they're all breaking at once. They had sizes from like a shot glass, if you want to throw a shot glass, up to a car, all types of stuff. So that's the easiest way to do it. And then we're located in Van Nuys, so the center of the San Fernando Valley. Come by.
Now that you talked about a car, I do remember we did do a pickup once for a customer who it was a vehicle. It was a divorce vehicle.
Right.
But of course, we ensure the paperwork is up to date, and but yeah, she brought their vehicle, and it was a divorce that they were doing, splitting up. She didn't want the vehicle. She came out and broke the vehicle instead.
Wow.
Had a great experience out of it. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Instead of selling the vehicle.
Instead of selling it.
It's the principle.
Right.
And that's what helps them, helps people with, like Brad was saying, any feelings they have attached or any sentimentals they have towards something. This definitely does help them a lot with letting go of what they've been holding on for the whole time.
That's great. Thanks so much for coming in today, guys.
Thank you for
you're
having
welcome.
us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Let's swing the other direction for now to talk to a guest who has some great ideas about how to choose a peaceful way to deal with anger and other intense negative emotions over the holidays and beyond. His approach is holistic. Feelings of loss, loneliness, anger, and fear are all states of mind, according to our next guest, Steven Phillips. Mental fixations can be warded off through reorienting your thoughts through meditation. Steven Phillips has been a spiritual teacher and practitioner for the past 44 years. With a background in Buddhism and Taoism, Mr. Phillips was ordained into Buddhism by the Dalai Lama, and he's also an interfaith minister. He's the author of 2 books, Living in the Flow, Reminders for a Supremely Happy Life, and The Buddha's Dog. The emphasis of his teaching is to demystify meditation and to make it easy and accessible to everyone. I, for one, can't wait to learn about his work. So welcome, Craig. Your work is exactly what I think we all need right now heading into the holiday season. And I know a lot of our viewers are probably going through significant stress and tension as they plan for or head into the holidays. So if you're here to demystify the art of meditation, can you start off telling us what is meditation, how do we do it, and what are the benefits?
Great to be with you, David. I think you touched on this in your introduction. When we're going through a breakup, when we're experiencing a divorce or any kind of loss that brings grief, there can be a tendency to fixate on the past, to ruminate and to go over conversations and things that have happened to us. Also, there can be a fixation on the future, on what we're going to do tomorrow, or as you said, those thoughts about how can I get back at my ex? What can I do to hurt them?
Right.
And what's overlooked in all of this is just the present moment. And to be able to bring our awareness right back here to this eternal now moment. And that's what the art of meditation does for us. It helps us to let go of this fixation on the past and the future and come right here where oftentimes we find that things are much more peaceful and much more at ease than we can imagine.
Sure. And as a therapist, I remember having a patient who came in for anxiety problems. Mm. And when I asked him, what are you getting anxious about? He says, well, I've had this girlfriend for a while, and when we go out to dinner, it seems like it should be a bigger affair, or what am I going to do for our anniversary? He was always thinking ahead and worrying about what he was going to do, yes, as opposed to just focusing on how is dinner going right now, and what did the food taste like, and what was the conversation like?
Yes, or being with your friends or your family. And I think this is one thing that people who are moving through a time of grief or change can do, is to really focus on the positive or the aspect of your life of abundance. So often when we're moving through these times, we fixate on what we don't have, our partner or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And what we overlook is the blessings that we have right now.
Right.
Part of meditation is doing that and being able to focus instead constantly on the thoughts of lack, or, as you said, getting back at someone, or how's this going to turn out? Focusing a little bit more on also the blessings that we have right now, particularly moving through the holidays. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so if someone were interested in getting into meditation, what's the easiest point of entry for them?
The easiest point of entry is just to begin to practice. As you said at the beginning, my teaching is about demystifying this practice. Mm-hmm. It's really not difficult to do. I meet a lot of people who have meditated and they say, well, it's so difficult. Because when I sit down, what I encounter is my busy mind. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult to settle. But if we just relax and think of meditation as a time of resting, a time of coming to ourselves, of just letting go for a moment, not for 30 minutes, not for an hour, just for this moment, mm-hmm, and come home to our breath, we can begin to see, and research has shown this for decades, that just coming to a mindful breath, of being present with your breathing, can bring a sense of ease and an alleviation of anxiety and stress. One mindful breath can do that. And so I know that we'll be doing a little bit of practice today, which I'm looking forward to. And I think people will find that it's much easier than they can imagine.
That's great.
Yes.
And so let's jump right into the practice part. If I'm new to it,
Yes.
and I want to get into meditation,
Yes.
and I'm there for the very first time, what's that going to look like for me?
So the first thing is just to relax. You know, I always tell people that are new to meditation, the key when you sit is to let go of any sense of efforting that you may have toward meditation. There's no doubt that everybody has heard of meditation. We all have concepts and ideas about what that looks like. Perhaps it's a yogi up on a mountain,
Right.
you know, in bliss, contemplating, you know, the universe. But actually, if we just come to meditation with an openness to discover what's there and be able to let go of any sense of efforting. And also what I find with people who have tried meditation and maybe they've had a difficulty with it, there's a sense of struggling to get someplace special.
Yeah.
And so everyone that's listening today, if they're moving through challenging times and they hear about meditation, there can be that feeling, well, if I meditate, I'll feel better, or I'll get someplace that's outside of where I am now. It's
Yeah.
just the opposite. It's about being here now and relaxing into the openness of just being. We're always doing, right? We're human doings now. If we just allow ourselves to be and open to our breath, everything can settle down and we can relax. So if you come to meditation for the first time, what I'm interested in is introducing you to it in a way that you can take with you and that you enjoy. You know, so many people I meet, the meditation that they've done in the past, it's not enjoyable.
Right.
They're either having to sit in a particular posture, they're tense, they're trying to shut off their mind. Good luck.
Right.
You know, it's not about getting rid of your mind or the busyness that's going on there. It's about relaxing a little deeper and letting the mind be for a few moments, relaxing into your being so that you can rest.
Wow, that's a great description of it. And in just a few sentences, you already blew out some of my misconceptions about meditation.
Yes.
You know, when I come out of a particularly tough divorce trial or hearing in court, my thing is to get in the car, put the top down, and put on my favorite music as loud as I can go, and just drive and sing. As much as I can. And my hope is in the half an hour it's going to take me to get home, I've left that other stuff behind.
Yes.
Where does that sort of pedestrian practice fall in with what you're teaching people about meditation?
David, I tell people that whatever you focus on one-pointedly, so for you it's music, that is meditation.
Yeah.
You'll notice when you sing probably that you're right there with your driving, you're letting go, and you're present to your singing. That is meditation.
Right.
This is why you can go into nature. If you walk mindfully through nature on the beach and you're really there, not ruminating and thinking over and over about what just happened, but really focused on what you're doing, that is meditation. A bite of delicious food when you're really with it, meditation.
Wow.
Going to sleep and really enjoying drifting off, meditation. Conversing with a friend and listening deeply instead of thinking about what you want to say next.
Right.
Meditation. Meditation is not just about the time that you sit formally, whatever that looks like for you. That is meditation, and I encourage my students to do that daily if they can. Meditation, the bigger practice of meditation is what I'm describing. It's when you move mindfulness, being present to your life now, into every aspect of your life. Because when we are truly present here, we tend to act more skillfully. We tend not to say things that we regret. We tend to be more kind and compassionate to people when we really show up in the moment.
That's great. It's beautiful. It's perfectly on point. It almost answers a lot of the questions that we've been asking throughout these various episodes of the Hourglass podcast. Is there anything else you want to share with us about how people can use meditation in their everyday lives, but especially with getting through a divorce.
Yes. And as we're talking about through the holidays, which can really bring up feelings of pain and emotional pain. I know that in contemplating this subject this week, I've been through this. So many of us have been through that kind of grief, of loss. And so what I really want to emphasize to people today, number one, if they hear one thing, besides when we meditate, taking that technique, have compassion on yourself. Mm-hmm. We can be surrounded with people that are telling us that we should be acting a certain way, or feeling something, or doing something. The reality is, as you move through a time of grief or letting go, having compassion on yourself will alleviate so much of these thoughts that, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't be doing that, when in fact you are feeling that way or doing that. And just let me say that for years it took me so long to come to an experience for me of what compassion is. Mm-hmm. It eluded me for so long. I thought it was maybe feeling sorry for myself or others, having empathy. But what I've come to after all these years is that compassion for me is just knowing that I am doing the best that I can at this moment, given my circumstances. Mm-hmm. And what I have found is that is true of everybody that's watching today. It's true of everybody you meet. We are doing the best that we can. Mm-hmm. And if we remember that, we can go easy on ourselves.
Sure.
Lighten up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say too that, the feelings of overwhelm, and you know this as a former therapist, David, if the feelings of overwhelm go on and on, if you have a hard time getting out of bed or being motivated, then I encourage people to seek out professional help. Mm-hmm. Don't let yourself get buried in that. A lot of what we move through, of course, is natural in grief, but there can be those times we need to use our discernment to know when we're overwhelmed and get professional help. Seek out a therapist, seek out clergy, a spiritual counselor, and speak to them about that.
Right.
Yeah. And if it's okay, David, I don't know if we have time, could we lead a little meditation?
Absolutely.
I would really love that, to give people the tools that and in contemplating the program today, usually what I teach people is just basic mindfulness, as I've been talking about. Come to the breath, come to the presence, and be here. But I thought because of the holidays and the topic, I would do just a little meditation on helping people to cultivate some loving kindness and compassion for themselves. Mm-hmm. Also, gratitude. As I was talking about before, we can lose touch with the gratitude for the blessings we do have because we're so fixated on what we don't have. Mm-hmm. So this will just take a few moments.
Right.
And I love doing these kind of meditations because, again, we can have this feeling that, meditation needs to take an hour or 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. No, it can be as little as a few moments.
Great.
So let's do that.
All right.
So I invite everybody that's watching to just close your eyes for a moment. And it's really amazing that even closing the eyes tends to bring us to a state of ease and relaxation. And when you come to meditation, I always say, get a sense of meditation as a time of rest. And feel that rest in your body for a moment. Just let your body be very, very still for just this moment. And notice that as you rest in the body, that the breath is happening. And let your awareness gently come to the breath for a moment. You don't need to manipulate it. Just feel it move through your nose and into your body. As you breathe out, get a sense of letting go. Let go of everything that is not right now. Everything that you've been carrying, any rocks or burdens on your shoulders. And I just invite everyone to direct attention now to the middle of your chest, right to your heart. And as you breathe in, get a sense that your in-breath is infused with a great sense of loving kindness for yourself. And breathe loving kindness through your chest and into your heart for you. You might even repeat loving kindness to yourself as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, just get a sense of that loving kindness flowing from your heart through the field of your being for you. And as we draw another breath now, let's feel that our breath is also infused with a great sense of compassion for ourselves. And breathe compassion into your heart for you. And as I said before, compassion for me is just this knowing that I'm doing the best that I can at this moment, given the circumstances of my life. Feel that compassion on your out-breath flowing from your heart through the field of your being. And finally, I invite everyone to bring someone or something that you're very, very grateful for in your life at this moment into your heart. Take the first person or thing that comes to you and feel them in your heart or that thing. And as you draw another breath, feel that your breath is also infused with a great sense of gratitude for this person or thing in your life, and breathe that gratitude into your heart. As you breathe out, feel that gratitude flowing through the field of your being for you. And now just very gently feeling our heart is overflowing with loving kindness, compassion, and gratitude. Very gently let the breath bring you back to the present moment, carrying this energy with you into your day as you gently open your eyes. So in just a few minutes, as we did there, we can completely alter. And what research has shown, David, without a doubt, is that what we did there is scientifically proven. We've changed our brain chemistry. Dopamine has been released. A sense of ease and calm comes over us, and it feels good.
Amazing. Amazing work. So with what we just engaged in a little piece of meditation, how can our viewers bring that into their life? What's the daily schedule, if there is one?
That's a wonderful question, David. And what I always encourage people to do is, if you have the time, set aside a little space where you can sit formally. You can do the practice that we just did, particularly if you're going through times of grief. If you can give yourself 10 minutes in the morning or whenever you can, but we shouldn't be rigid. It could be at lunch, it could be in the evening, giving ourselves that time. And let's call it rest, a time of rest, coming to the heart. And then it's very key to bring that practice into your life, as I was mentioning before. So I always tell my students, don't let an hour or two go by where you haven't come back to your breathing. Just a few mindful breaths will bring you back to the present moment. And if you need to, breathe some gratitude and loving kindness for your heart if you're feeling overwhelmed. Do that practice throughout the day. You know, don't let a whole day go by where you've done meditation, but now you've just been in your head all day spinning. And then you come back and you feel exhausted, like, what happened? Where am I? Practice a little bit, and you'd be surprised what even 3 mindful breaths can do. One of my great teachers that I have to mention who passed this year is a very well-known Zen master named Thich Nhat Hanh. He used to say that with just one mindful breath, we come home to ourselves in the present moment. We come home to the kingdom of God right now, right here. And that's where the true fruit of meditation begins.
Great.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's genuine, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the feeling, the depth that you go into when you start touching down in the simplicity. It's joyful, isn't it?
Right. Then that's all there is.
That's all there is.
The rest of this stuff, the furniture, the cars, the pools, all that other stuff, it's a distraction.
It is, and it doesn't matter in the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Great advice across the board. Thank you so much for being with us today. If someone is looking to find you, to find the work that you do, how do they find you?
You can go to my website at www.taotribe.com. That's TAOTRIBE. I also do a Dharma talk and a meditation on the third Sunday of every month at Unity of Tustin in Orange County. And I also lead group meditations online and live on Wednesday evenings in Orange County.
All right, let's go to timeout. For those of you who've been watching, this Hourglass segment offers a break from the heavy content we always cover to bring you otherwise stressed out mind back into perspective. It's a frame of mind everyone can access. It's humor. There's nothing more healing or bonding than humor. It resets your perspective. It gives you more global view of your situation. And studies say it even changes the hormones in your blood level and brain chemistry. There's more than just anger, frustration, and sorrow during the holidays. You want to strive for balance, and a strong dose of humor goes a long way. Today we have Charlie Twichell, a stand-up comic who performs around the Southern California comedy scene. An adult child of divorced parents, Charlie has learned a thing or two about what is appropriate and what's not when it comes to picking out gifts for his parents. Charlie's going to give us his naughty and nice list of gift ideas. Gifts you can give your divorced parents this year. Charlie?
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
These are not in any particular order. Shall we start with naughty or nice?
Naughty.
Naughty, okay. One of my friends had a great suggestion last night. He says, don't buy your mom a white dress for Christmas right after a divorce. So I thought that was appropriate.
Yeah.
Couples massage, not a good idea.
Right.
So those are the ones that I had for some not good ideas for you folks,
And what about the nice list?
The nice list. Okay, well, let's look at the nice list. And this is actually a true story. I think one of the best things I ever did for my mom after the divorce is I bought her like a spa weekend. And that was really, really wonderful for her. There's a place called the Golden Door down in the north part of San Diego County. And just a couple of days there to kind of unwind and relax, I think was also really, really important for her. And she's thanked me many times over for that.
Sure. What's the most ridiculous a gift you can think about to give a divorced parent?
Well, I don't know if it's ridiculous, but I think you got to be really careful. I don't think you go out and buy them a puppy. You don't. I don't know if that. It's a heartwarming, after school special moment, but I don't know if that's really appropriate in real life. So that might be ridiculous to the person. They're like, thanks.
Yeah. Puppies lead to all sorts of other things.
All sorts of problems. Yeah. Love them. But yeah, high maintenance.
Sure.
For someone who just got out of divorce, maybe that's not quite what they're ready for.
Yeah, not ready to take care of something or someone else.
That's right.
Yeah. What about the most outrageous gift for a divorced person you can possibly think of?
My God, I don't even know the first thing that comes to my mind. I mean, I don't even know. It depends on your budget, really. To get my father maybe a membership to the Playboy Club in Chicago, something like that might be ridiculous, but well received.
Sure.
So you never know. So I don't think my mom would appreciate that much. So
right.
She's not here. She's not watching, is she? Okay.
So you've really got to tailor your gift to the receiver.
You have to be careful.
Yeah.
I do think that's important. Even some of my lists here, I don't think I would necessarily give my dad alcohol after a divorce, but my mom could use a bottle of champagne.
Sure.
I don't think my dad needs a bottle of scotch, for instance.
Right.
He's got plenty.
Gotcha. And what would be the most generous gift you could give a parent who's going through a divorce?
I would think paying all their legal fees would be very well received financially.
It would be well received by me as the divorce attorney for sure.
I bet. Yeah, you have cashed a few of my checks. Did I mention my mom's been through 2 divorces? Yeah. She's homeless, so it's been very, very, very taxing on my bottom line. But community service is important.
Right. Thanks so much for being with us today. A lot of humorous thoughts.
I really enjoyed our time together. Thank you very much.
Time for our final thought. A song lyric that I hope will take you out of your holiday funk and make you consider not only your own sense of peace, but but peace towards your fellow man. Yes, even toward your ex. For some of you, it's hard to fathom, yes, but try it. It's part of the healing process. The song I'm talking about is Let There Be Peace on Earth, a standard, a hymn, actually, that's sung in many services around the world by many creeds and religions. Written by Cy Miller and his wife, Jill Jackson Miller, in 1955, it was first sung by a child's choir in Long Beach, California. It was just meant for children to sing. But now, you can hear it practically everywhere during the holidays. In many places of worship, you can hear it sung all year round to signal the end of the service. Though I typically choose a song that has a profound reference to the value of time, I chose this one because it's timeless, and because this is the perfect time of year for it, and to remind you that spending time centering on peace is time well spent. The overall sentiment in the song reflects the views of many of our guests today, especially the teachings of meditation expert Steven Phillips. Listen to it a couple of times. When you do, pay close attention to the recurring message and lyric, which is, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." Come on, you can do it.